All right. So today we're diving into something a little bit heavier
Okay.
than usual, but just as important, and that is grief.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be exploring a blog post from LeStallion
Okay.
called 50 Grief Journaling Prompts by Penrose.
Interesting.
It was published very recently on October 5th, 2024.
Okay.
So it's fresh and ready for us to unpack.
I'm excited to see what kind of prompts they came up with. 50 seems like a lot to process.
Yeah, that's a lot. Don't worry, we're not going to go through all 50 one by one.
Okay.
Think of this deep dive as like exploring how these prompts might act, as different paths you can take as you're journeying through grief.
I like that. Paths, not a single road.
Right?
Because, as Penrose points out in the blog post,
Yeah,
everyone's journey is going to be different.
exactly. And that's where these prompts come in, offering different entry points.
Mm-hmm.
So the post starts by talking about the power of journaling itself,
Right.
especially for those dealing with grief. Penrose describes it as this gentle way to process everything,
Mm-hmm.
a space where all the messy, complicated emotions are welcome.
I like that.
What are your thoughts on that?
You know, it's fascinating how putting pen to paper can actually help us make sense of things that feel chaotic inside.
Right.
When we're grieving, it's easy to get swept away by powerful feelings.
Yeah.
But the act of writing can almost help us separate ourselves from those emotions a bit.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like taking all those jumbled thoughts and feelings through inside your head and putting them down on paper.
Exactly.
Where you can finally get a good look at them.
It gives those feelings a form, you know? And even if you've never kept a journal before, don't discount the power of this tool.
Yeah.
Sometimes when those waves of grief feel overwhelming, having this outlet can be like having a lifeline.
I love that analogy, a lifeline.
Yeah.
Now, what I found particularly interesting is that the prompts go beyond just sadness, which we often think of as the defining emotion of grief.
Right.
There are prompts about anger,
Yeah.
guilt,
Mm-hmm.
and even prompts that encourage finding moments of peace within grief.
Absolutely. It speaks to the complexity of grief, doesn't it? It's not just one feeling.
Right.
It's this whole spectrum of emotions.
It is. Like one prompt asks, how do you handle feelings of guilt after a loss?
Yeah.
That's not something we always talk about openly. Another one asks, think about a time you felt a sense of peace in the midst of your grief.
Wow.
That prompt really acknowledges that even within the darkness of grief, there can be glimmers of light.
I think that's so important to validate those different facets of grief.
Yeah.
I remember after my grandmother passed away, I coped by baking.
Oh, wow.
It sounds odd, I know, but her apple pie was legendary, and the act of making it brought me this strange sense of peace and connection to her.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It just goes to show how grief can manifest in ways we don't always expect.
Exactly. And that leads us to another interesting section of the blog post.
Yeah.
Penrose talks about the importance of honoring memories, of finding ways to carry those we've lost forward with us.
Yes. There's one prompt in particular that really struck me.
Okay.
It says, what did your loved one love most about life?
Mm-hmm.
Reflect on their passions, hobbies, or the things that brought them joy.
Right.
And how you can incorporate these into your life.
Yeah.
It's not about getting stuck in the past.
Yeah.
It's about finding ways to keep their spirit alive in the present.
It's about recognizing that the people we've lost are woven into the fabric of who we are.
Yes.
Their passions, their joy.
Yeah.
Those things become part of our story, too.
So true.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder if you, dear listener, were to pick one memory to focus on today, what would it be? What memory brings you the most comfort or truly captures the essence of the person you've lost?
That's a powerful question.
Yeah.
And it leads us to another important concept that Penrose highlights. The idea that healing doesn't mean forgetting.
I think that's a really important distinction to make.
It is, and this is where the prompts about self-care and resilience come in.
Okay.
There's one that reads, what's one small step you can take towards healing today?
Okay.
Write about how this step might help you feel a bit lighter or more at peace. It really emphasizes taking things slowly, one day at a time.
Especially because when you're in the depths of grief,
Yeah.
even getting out of bed can feel impossible.
Oh, yeah.
It's those small acts of self-kindness that can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. Maybe it's taking a walk,
Yeah.
listening to your favorite music, or simply allowing yourself to cry.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, even small gestures can contribute to the healing process.
Right. And speaking of moving forward,
Okay.
there's a whole section in the post dedicated to this.
Yeah.
But it's framed in a very specific way.
Okay.
It's not about moving on. and leaving the past behind.
Right.
It's about carrying those we've lost with us.
It reminds me of a tapestry.
Okay.
Each thread, even the dark ones, contributes to the overall beauty of the finished piece.
Yeah.
Our experiences, our joys and sorrows are all threads in the tapestry of our lives.
I would love that analogy.
Yeah.
It so perfectly captures how our past shapes who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one prompt that I think really captures this sentiment.
Okay.
It says, how do you want to carry your loved one's memory with you as you move forward in life?
Wow.
It acknowledges that moving forward doesn't mean forgetting. It's about finding ways to honor their memory while still embracing the future.
And that new chapter doesn't erase the previous chapters.
Right.
Our experiences of love and loss become part of who we are.
Yeah.
Shaping our perspectives and influencing our choices.
It's like we're not starting a new book,
Yeah.
just a new chapter.
Yeah.
And all the previous chapters are still there, informing the narrative.
I like that a lot. Yeah. It's about finding those threads of connection and weaving them into their present right. Which reminds me of something you touched on earlier, the idea that healing isn't linear.
Yeah.
It's not about getting over it,
Right.
but learning to live with the loss.
Yes.
Yeah.
That really resonated with me too.
Yeah.
There's this pressure sometimes,
Right.
especially in our fast-paced culture, to just move on quickly.
Yeah.
But grief doesn't have a timeline, does it?
Not at all. And these prompts gently remind us of that. They're not a to-do list to check off,
Right.
but invitations to slow down, reflect, and really tune into our own unique process.
And I think that's something that Penrose does really well in this blog post,
Yeah.
encouraging a gentle approach to grief.
Absolutely. She also talks about new beginnings in a way that I found really insightful.
Okay.
It's not about replacing what's been lost,
Right.
but acknowledging that life does go on, even though it might look and feel different.
Right. It's not about erasing the past, but incorporating it into the present and future.
Exactly. And those new experiences, those new beginnings, they often carry echoes of the past, of those we've loved and lost.
So it's less about starting a brand new book.
Right.
And more about starting a new chapter.
Yeah.
With all the previous chapters still informing the story.
What a beautiful way to put it. And all of this brings us back to the idea of journaling as a safe space to explore all those complex emotions,
Right.
those memories,
Yeah.
and even those hopes for the future.
It's a reminder that while grief can feel incredibly isolating,
Yeah.
we're not alone in this experience.
Right.
And having a tool like journaling can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, even if someone never actually puts pen to paper,
Yeah.
even just reading through these prompts can spark some deep reflection.
Right. The questions themselves are powerful, regardless of whether you write down your answers. Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from you, dear listener.
Okay.
Which prompt from today's deep dive has stuck with you the most?
Yeah.
What resonated with your own experience of grief?
Right.
Or maybe even surprised you?
I think reflecting on that question can be really insightful. The prompt that speaks to you the loudest might just offer a clue about where you are on your own journey.
It might even highlight a specific area you need to explore further, an emotion that needs a little more attention or understanding.
Exactly. And remember, there's no right or wrong answer here.
Right.
What matters is what feels most helpful and meaningful to you.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, this deep dive isn't about finding one-size-fits-all solution,
Right.
but about recognizing the power of individual experience.
And that's the beauty of these prompts, right?
Yeah.
They offer a starting point,
Right.
a gentle nudge to explore your own unique landscape of loss. They're not meant to be prescriptive,
Right.
but to inspire and support you on your journey.
And that journey, as we've discussed, is unique to each individual. There's no set timeline,
Right.
no right or wrong way to grieve.
You can pick and choose the prompts that resonate,
Yeah.
modify them to fit your needs, or even use them as inspiration to come up with your own prompts.
Exactly.
What matters is that you find a way to express your grief, honor your memories,
Yeah.
and ultimately chart your own course toward healing.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone.
Right.
There are support groups, therapists, online communities, and so many resources available to help you navigate this challenging experience.
It's a reminder that even in the midst of loss,
Yeah.
connection and community can offer a powerful source of strength and support.
Absolutely.
So if you're feeling lost or overwhelmed, please reach out.
Yeah.
There are people who care and want to help.
And as we wrap up this deep dive into grief and journaling, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Right.
Even if you never write in a journal, simply reflecting on these questions, allowing them to stir something within you, can be a powerful step towards understanding and navigating your grief.
Beautifully put. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration. We hope you found it insightful, helpful, and maybe even a little bit hopeful.
Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.
It's amazing how a simple list of prompts can spark such a, deep conversation, isn't it?
It is. And that speaks to the heart of what Penrose is trying to do with this blog post. She's offering a toolkit, not a prescription.
And that toolkit, those 50 prompts, can be incredibly powerful for anyone navigating grief, whether you're a seasoned journaler or just starting out.
Exactly. You can pick and choose the prompts that resonate with you. Adapt them, or even use them as a springboard to create your own. There's no one right way to use them.
What matters most is finding a way to express your grief, to honor those memories, and to chart your own unique course towards healing.
Because grief is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
And it's a journey we all have to take in our own time, in our own way.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of grief journaling, we want to leave you with this final thought. Which prompt from today stuck with you the most? What resonated with your experience, your journey?
Hold on to that prompt. Let it sit with you. Explore the insights and emotions it brings up. Maybe even jot down a few thoughts, whether in a journal or on a scrap of paper.
Because even if you never fill an entire journal, the act of engaging with these prompts, of allowing them to spark reflection, can be a powerful step towards understanding and navigating your grief.
Beautifully said. And remember, dear listener, you are not alone on this journey.
Until next time, take care.